you could do that, right? So
And
you're
watch
mm-hmm.
and watching your homies, friends, family just get beat like pinatas, man. But still know that there's, a finish line.
Yeah, and wait, let me just in talking about production value, Gaston, this is some bull. You got a damn Cash App icon over my face. This is not what it is. You should take that off. Put that Cash App stuff in your description. Run a banner, but come on, man, don't have shit on my
YOLO.
face, right?
Oh no.
You know,
But what I will add, if you don't mind, Lee, we had the conversation was going, kind of in the direction of, the older men a lot of times don't want to impart wisdom or want to put a price on wisdom, as it pertains to the younger men. And when you have something of value, you absolutely should, market it, right? But when it
yes,
comes to just mentorship and leadership, do you think that you should, it should be a price tag on that?
probably.
Welcome, everyone. Today's topic, mentoring and leadership, old school versus new school. There's a lot to discuss, so let's watch it.
Did you hear me?
Hey, yeah, no, I couldn't hear you. I was
Oh,
hoping
okay.
you could get like a thumbs up. But anyway, what's going on, Lee?
Oh, thumbs up. I'm sorry. How are you doing, Gaston? We got Sim in the house.
Good,
Gaston, last
good.
call for insight. Y'all are doing it big over here. Excuse me. I got a course that's 15 hours. If you pay $550 for it, you'll probably get through it. If I just give you a code, you say, here's, you might not get through it at all because do you even appreciate it? Now, hopefully, we've all had mentors. We've all had a helping hand where we didn't have to pay for it, and it tremendously helped us out. O'Shea Duke Jackson put me on. He gave me 3 collaborations. I didn't pay one penny. Helped me out tremendously. That's a form of mentorship, right? Now, I appreciated it, but there are just there are numerous times in human nature where if you give somebody something, if they don't work for it, and you just give it to them, a lot of people aren't going to appreciate that.
I wanted to start with how is the exchange of information, of life experience happening, or is it happening? Lend me your experience. For example, I feel like, especially among women, just kind of to give a comparison, there's a lot of emphasis on mentorship, listening to the older generation, figuring out, what they've been through, understanding, their formula, and hopefully learning from it, taking the stand for us. I'll start by just asking, is that protocol today for Black men? Is that happening? Do you feel like there has been a mentorship, an exchange, and a deference being shown from the younger generation to those who are a little bit older and have gone before? Who wants to start?
Okay. No, I truly believe that, men of my generation, I'm 31. I know before the billions, just a little bit younger than me. So men of our generation, too many of us grew up without fathers. And so we just kind of had to figure it out. And it seems that now we're in this generation of communication of everybody's on a smartphone, everybody's on YouTube, everybody's on some form of social media. And now there's like this impartment of wisdom that's trying to be kind of pushed into the younger generation of men. And it's like, where are y'all coming from all of a sudden? It's not to say that it's not welcome. It's unorthodox. So it's kind of something to deal with.
I gotta concur with Gaston to an extent, right? When I got older, then that's when everything started to kind of flow through. So, as an example, like I have learned so many different things from my dad, but I have learned even more from a lot of people who I've met on YouTube as well, because they have varying different experiences. So people like Uncle Stu. We didn't have social media like we do, so I didn't have like a Uncle Stu, Gastonsworld, Dr. Thunder.
Very, very interesting observation. What say you, Uncle Stu? Has there been an effective exchange happening between Gen X and the millennial generation?
I'm going to say yes, and I'm going to destroy a lot of narratives.
You sound like a big choo-choo train.
The other thing that has to be understood is exactly what is it that you are looking for. So when I say, what are you looking for? So we cannot sit up here and generalize an entire generation of people. We must begin to take the knowledge and the understanding from where we are, and then we have to hold ourselves accountable for the lack of knowledge in which we have. If you ask me a question, I'll be glad to answer. If you're looking for mentorship, it is not something that is imposed upon you. It is something you have to seek. A mentor is not someone that says, Gaston, I'm going to mentor you. No, Gaston has to man up and say, I see you, and therefore I want to be educated and mentored by you. If I just come out and throw out my knowledge, then guess what? It is unwelcome. It is arrogant. It is a statement that cannot be totally done. That is not how mentorship works. Is that in order to be a man, you have to be able to lead a man. But the first man you have to be able to lead is yourself.
True.
When we begin to learn how to lead in the failure, then we know how to lead in success. Because the first thing you have to look at is yourself and analyze yourself and ask yourself, what part did I play in the failures of my own life? So, for example, every failure I've had was not a loss, it was a lesson. And every lesson that I gained was a way in which for me to gather the wisdom. And then when I understand my weakness, I know what to look for in order to gather my strength. So for everything that I did not do, it taught me what to do.
Okay, Uncle Stu, calm down. Oh, he's not done yet. Go ahead.
I also have to live in the reality. And the reality is, when I was 20, I didn't necessarily want to listen to somebody 30 years older than me. I'm 50. It's still sometimes hard for me to listen to somebody 30 years older than me. So I accept my position and play my position where it is.
Wow, that was a lot to digest. Take a moment and actually think about that. Uncle Stu, I see you.
But I know for a fact that if you give a lot of people this stuff for free, they will not appreciate it.
Right.
Even if it is super valuable.
Oh, that's another way to say it. If you're not selling it already, do you think, oh, well, for my time, I'm going to put a price tag on it? I guess
That's the thing. And I was waiting for you to finish because that's what you're going to run into. You know, we're all fucking busy, right? And if one person, if it's just you, Gaston, let's say I'm on Andretti or some, famous Formula One racer, and you say, hey, lead Andretti, teach me how to drive on 285. And I can say, okay, come on. And I'll teach you how to drive, right? But in your head, you're like, oh, well, I just asked lead how to drive. The problem, Gaston, is there could be like 80 of you. Now, 80 Gastons, you're Gaston number 1, and there's Gaston number 2. Oh, Gaston number 3 also wants to learn how to drive. Oh, Gaston 17 also wants me to take him under his wing. I don't have time. Now, why don't I just make a video teaching you guys how to damn do it, and then I'll sell you the video for $15. Or, if you really want my mentorship, why don't I just charge you $500 to teach you, take you on a spin, or $1,000? But at some point, I have to protect my time.
But Last Call for Insight had a point.
I appreciate it. And I definitely agree with what the lead is saying in regards to time. It is irreplaceable. In regards to the monetization portion, that's not only a benefit to him for his time, but it's also in line with the topic, how leaderships can vet people. And that's one thing that we haven't brought up, is the proper vetting of people on whether or not you're going to pick them up as a mentor. Being a good leader or being someone in a leadership role, you have to be able to not only identify those who have talent, but also are hungry. So hungry for the drive to actually do. So leaderships at times may give them small tasks as far as tests before even picking them up or considering a mentorship.
That's such a great point. Because you can be a mentor to someone, say, oh, this person has potential, and then invest a lot of time in them and just realize that they don't care, realize that they don't value you, realize that, they have potential, but they're just going to squander it. Some people squander potential, it happens every day. You know, there are a lot of people who could be playing D1 college ball. There could be a lot of people even who are in the NFL and they just mess it up, right? So you could take someone under your wing and then it not work out for you, and then it's a disaster. It's the worst of all worlds because you have invested time in something. You're never going to get it back, and the person, it's not like you were going to get the direct result, right? Your mentee was supposed to get the benefit. They squandered the benefit because they weren't serious. So what Last Call is saying is that, hey, you know, if I'm going to give you time, which is my most valuable resource, you know, is there a vetting process that we can go through to make sure that you're going to value my time? I did a damn collab. I will never forget. It was a disaster. And it was so bad that the person didn't even put it on their channel, which is on one hand good because it was a train wreck. But then on the other hand, what they really did was take 2 hours of my time and throw it in the wastebasket. Now, whose fault was it? Mine. It was my fault. And I tried to do something for free and, you know, give them some content, and it was a disaster. And so Last Call is exactly right, because I gave them 2 hours. But what if you give a mentee 2 months and it turns out that they wasted it? And you could never get those 2 months back. And 2 months for a busy man. Erica Williams charges $1,000 an hour for her consultations. Imagine her giving someone 2 months and then they squander it. So Last Call is exactly right.
Thank you.
Game recognized, game, granddad.
Last Call, did you check out the tech lead?
Yes, I did.
What did you think? Yeah, I think y'all got that same type of intellectual kind of analytical voice.
Yeah, I was just telling Gastonsworld I come from a background of acquisitions and contract negotiations. So
awesome.
Know the game. Your granddaddy knows the game.
Game recognized, game, granddad.
I recognize game. Your granddaddy recognized game.
Last Call. Hey, I appreciate you coming up as always, brother. Your input is always just invaluable because you bring a great aspect to the conversation we don't commonly have in our community.
Thank you.
Give me some final thoughts. Who do you think has the biggest burden in our community as far as leadership goes, and what do you think should be done about it?
Okay, I'm going to try to define this very carefully. Okay, for old generation and new generation. For me, the new generation would be our generation and slightly younger, excluding the next generation. I would say the old generation bears the most responsibility, but it's the new generation, our generation, that bears the most burden. And the reason why I would explain it that way, obviously there's people who are more experienced than us, that are older than us, who have accomplished more just over time in general. So while it's their responsibility to hopefully share some of that information, they have us to rely on until we retire, which is why we bear the largest burden, because obviously for the next generation, or the one that follows that when we retire, if there aren't those individuals to carry the burden when we can no longer work, then we're going to be struggling.
Okay, well, that was a great point, Last Call. Like I said, you always bring it. So I appreciate you coming up. And as you know, you're always welcome to come through, man.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you. And I'm doing a perfect salute, by the way. I remember how to do it. I just can't turn on my cam to do it. So I apologize.
I know you are, man. I appreciate it, man. So hit me up on Instagram and take it easy.
Thank you.
We don't have much time on this earth, bro. I'm always reading, always listening to audiobooks, always trying to improve. You know, I want people to benefit, man. Like, stop playing around. Stop being entertained and start being educated. Start informing yourself. Stop. Yes. You have to value information more than you do entertainment. You have to. It's necessary, bro.
Gosh, that's listen, I don't even know what to say now. We might just need to stop the show. That's a mic drop right there.
So much information. Think about it. Your prison. It's all up here. I see you. The choice is yours. Take a moment. Let it digest. And remember, you're always welcome here, but we sure as hell aren't for everyone.